We have some breaking news to discuss today as a shocking report just dropped revealing the Maple Leafs are actively pursuing and are finalists for forward Max Pacioretty. We're going to break down the report and discuss what it means going forward for the Leafs, as this report has a lot of Leafs fans shocked and quite frankly fired up. So I'm going to break all that down on this episode. But before we do, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed, about 70% of you, make sure to hit that button. It would mean the world to Darius and myself. And I'm recording from a hotel room, so bear with the quality for this video and maybe a couple more in the next coming days. But Darius, we had this conversation on our stream a few days ago about Max Pacioretty and the overwhelming thoughts from fan base, and still the thoughts are that they don't really want Max Pacioretty. But a brand new report dropped about an hour or two ago, and it revealed from Nick Alberga that sources confirm, and it's multiple reports here, that the Maple Leafs are among the teams firmly in the mix to sign veteran UFA forward Max Pacioretty. And at this point, it seems like there's a very good chance the Leafs end up with Max Pacioretty. And we're going to break down this multiple reports here, but Darius, I just want to get your thoughts on this. Again, we discussed it in the stream. A lot of Leafs fans weren't super pumped up about the thought of this acquisition, but ultimately, it seems like the Leafs are finalists, and there's a good chance that they land the 35-year-old forward that is a very interesting fit with the Leafs, which we'll dive into.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I wasn't expecting this morning at all. And I honestly wasn't expecting the Leafs to be in the group of teams or the three teams that were reported to have interest in Max Pacioretty, because we covered it in a video a couple days ago. And we talked about it on stream yesterday that, the Leafs may have interest in Pacioretty. There were some rumblings around that. And the fact that there was three unnamed teams that had interest in Max Pacioretty. Now it's come out. And again, this is speculation, but we know for sure that the Leafs are interested. We've heard that Anaheim is interested, and there may be interest from Detroit as well, the Red Wings. So, he wants to be closer to home to his family. That's the report right now. That's the rumor going around, which would be on the East Coast, which would be Toronto or Detroit. So it's looking like Anaheim might be out of the picture. So it's looking likely it could honestly be 50-50 that he ends up a Maple Leaf at this point. And speaking of 50-50, I feel like that's more of what the reaction has been. I saw the comments from everyone the other day on that video. A lot of people do want this player. A lot of people don't
On
want
Twitter
this
as well.
player. I'm going to follow the side of I think he's too old. I feel like his injury history the last couple of years kind of turns me off to the idea of having him on the Leafs. I don't know how much he can help the Leafs current roster and how much identity he gives that bottom six, because I have a hard time believing he would play in the top six with some of the players that are available, like Bobby McMann and what he looked like with Tavares and Marner, for example, last season. So, they can still toy with the lineup a lot. And, if he does become a Leaf, I hope that they succeed with him. I'm not rooting against him or anything. I just don't know how that fits exactly for the Leafs heading into the season. And again, he's a little bit older. I feel like, he's 35, right? We were talking about Clutterbuck, but he's going to make a lot less and probably play in your, fourth line. But, he's getting older, and I'm kind of sick and tired of the Leafs signing old guys just for the sake of signing them because they're older and they've been around. We've seen that it doesn't really work with Joe Thornton. Patrick Marleau, I feel like, did some good things for the Leafs, but at the end of the day, they didn't win with him. So I'm kind of sick and tired of them signing old guys just because they've been around. I think they should add more guys who've won the Stanley Cup, yes, but it doesn't mean they have to be old. They should still be able to contribute to the team. So pretty interesting stuff. And the fact that a former Montreal Canadiens captain that wears 67 could end up on the Leafs this year is pretty crazy. But we'll see what happens. But it sounds like it could be down to the Leafs and maybe one other team. I heard Anaheim was in the mix, but it sounds like he does not want to play on the West Coast.
Yeah, and obviously at this point, if it's between the Leafs and the Red Wings, if you're Max Pacioretty, you obviously would probably prefer to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're closer to a cup, at least in theory. And some interesting details about this. You can see it here from David Pagnatos. That's another report. So there's two different reports collaborating on this here, which means it's probably likely to happen. But you can see here, he said, David Pagnatos said, hearing the same regarding the Leafs and Pacioretty, and it would not be a PTO, it would be a standard contract if they agree to terms. So Darius, this is another interesting thing, it not being a PTO. No one really expected it to be a PTO for a guy like Max Pacioretty, who, again, you mentioned it is 35, and we had this discussion, and it kind of, the Kyle Dubas thing, obviously, you think about a lot of the older players. Brad Treliving, if he does sign Max Pacioretty, the thing you are getting with him is veteran presence, obviously, but the playoff performance as well, which we'll dive into. But you're also losing some speed. Because if you could go with one of the younger guys, whether that's Nikita Grabyankin, whether that is, Easton Cowan for the first handful of games, or just a guy who's younger. We've discussed a lot of guys, Kevin LeBanc, like most players out there, whether it's a PTO or standard contract, are younger than Max Pacioretty and probably have more to give. That being said, Pacioretty, even though he is 35, still has a little bit left in the tank and is he has a higher ceiling maybe than some of the other guys, or higher floor, sorry, not ceiling, higher floor than some of the other guys. You know what you're going to get out of Pacioretty as opposed to some of the other guys like LeBanc, even though I'm very high on Kevin LeBanc as well. It's very, very interesting. And again, we discussed this in a video a week ago before the report came out, or a bit less than a week ago. He does have six 30-goal campaigns. I think he could help with just, I mean, every single player, whether that's Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, some of the younger guys as well. Easton Cowan, if he plays for the first little bit, and you have Max Pacioretty there. I don't hate it, but I'm a bit higher on him than you are. But I understand the fact that if you want to go faster and you want to go younger, just give it a chance, because we've seen around the NHL, and we've seen it with the Leafs in the past, going with the veteran guy who's washed. Not saying Pacioretty's washed, but the Leafs have signed guys who were washed in the past. Doesn't always work out when it comes to winning regular season games or playoff games, for that matter.
Yeah, and the Leafs slowly over the last couple of years are becoming a slower team because they're getting older naturally, right? Mitch Marner's not as fast as he used to be either, right? When they first came into the league, these guys, the core four, whatever we want to call them now, they were a really quick team, really fast team, and it's not like that anymore. So they're sacrificing more speed for a guy like Max Pacioretty again. But like you mentioned, you get some certainty there. Like, we all know what Max Pacioretty can do and can bring even at this age. Last year, right? Like, he can still put in some good work in the playoffs. He has over the course of his career. And you kind of know what you're getting with him as long as he's healthy. And a guy like Kevin LeBanc, why Pacioretty won't get a PTO versus a guy like LeBanc is you don't really know what you have in LeBanc, and he's 28, right? And the last couple of years haven't been too kind to him. And is it because he's playing on the Sharks, or is it because, he's maybe not an everyday NHLer, or maybe not that extreme, but you know what I mean? I think you have more certainty in Max Pacioretty in that way, as long as he stays healthy. There is a lot of concern from me on that part of it too, right? His injury the last couple of years, like, he got injured back to back, I believe, Achilles injuries. That's not good, right? And you don't want that to be a reoccurring issue. And does he get injured again? Obviously, he's getting older. If you sign him and then he misses half the season, you have another issue like you had last year with Klingberg, right? We want to avoid that. So maybe, personally, I think they should go younger, maybe more tenacious, a guy who's fighting for a spot. I think that would probably be the move. But it sounds like they want some experience too on the left wing, and they're looking at different options, right? Like, all the options are still definitely open to them right now because, we still don't have an answer on Nick Robertson. And, how are the lines going to shake out? We don't have an answer on that either. So it's going to be pretty interesting here the next couple of days.
Yeah, and very surprising. To be honest, I thought that they weren't going to go this route, but it does make sense to a degree, especially given the fact that this is their win now window over the next couple of years. They signed veterans like Chris Tanev, you have OEL, and now bringing in Pacioretty would at least give some more role clarity and role definition to their third or fourth line, depending where they fit him in. Probably the fourth line there. And maybe they move Max Domi up to the first line. There's a lot of different ways they can go about it, but he at least adds some veteran presence and some depth, and he brings intangibles to the playoffs and to the regular season that some of the other guys like Kevin LeBanc, some of the younger guys, don't have. And I'm also curious to wonder how much Craig Berube plays in this. I'm sure he would love a guy like Max Pacioretty on the team, fits into his play style a lot more. But let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. Do you want Max Pacioretty on your team or not? Let us know. We'll see you guys tomorrow.